Beloved, let's begin by unraveling the intricate dance of the avoidant attachment cycle. It's a rhythm that feels almost hypnotic, a back and forth movement that can leave both partners feeling off balance, yet deeply drawn to one another. At its core, this dance is not about malice or manipulation, it's about protection. The avoidant individual often unconsciously navigates relationships with one foot in and one foot out. To understand this, we need to dive into the motivations and fears driving this behavior. The avoidant attachment style often stems from early experiences where emotional needs weren't consistently met. Perhaps their caregivers were overly critical, emotionally distant, or too overwhelmed to provide consistent nurturing. In response, the avoidant learned to self-soothe, to rely on themselves, and to view vulnerability as a potential threat rather than a bridge to connection. This early wiring creates a paradoxical need. The desire for intimacy exists, but the fear of being overwhelmed or losing their independence keeps them at arm's length. It's this internal tug of war that sets the stage for the push-pull dance. When an avoidant enters a relationship, they often start strong, drawn to the promise of connection. In the early stages, they may appear deeply engaged, charming, and attentive. But as the intimacy deepens and the stakes feel higher, the alarm bells of their nervous system begin to ring. They may feel a growing sense of discomfort or suffocation, even if their partner hasn't done anything to warrant it. To cope, they start to pull away, not necessarily because they don't care, but because their survival instincts tell them that closeness equals vulnerability, and vulnerability equals danger. For their partner, this pulling away can feel devastating. It's as though the rug has been pulled out from under them. The warmth and connection they once felt now feel replaced by coldness and distance. This reaction often triggers an anxious response in the partner, who may begin to chase, to seek reassurance, or to try and fix the situation. And here's where the dance becomes cyclical. The avoidance withdrawal feeds the partner's pursuit, which in turn reinforces the avoidance need to retreat further. Each step feels like a reaction to the other, and the rhythm of the push-pull begins. Yet, what's fascinating, and what often keeps this cycle alive, is the magnetism between these opposing forces. When the avoidant distances themselves and the partner finally steps back, something remarkable happens. The avoidant begins to feel the pull of absence. In the space created by no contact, they can safely reflect on their feelings without the immediate pressure of intimacy. This absence reignites the desire they had buried under layers of self-protection. The longing emerges, but it's not always for true connection. It's for the idealized version of the partner they hold in their mind. Breaking this cycle requires a tremendous amount of self-awareness and courage from both individuals. The avoidant must confront their fears of vulnerability and recognize that true intimacy doesn't mean losing themselves. Their partner must learn to resist the urge to chase and instead honor their own boundaries and needs. Together, they must learn to re-choreograph their dance, moving from a rhythm of fear and reaction to one of trust and intention. It's not easy, but when both are willing to step out of their comfort zones, the push-pull dance can transform into a steady, harmonious connection. Beloved, distance is a paradoxical force in relationships, particularly for those with an avoidant attachment style. To many, absence might seem like the unraveling of connection, a loss rather than a gain. Yet for the avoidant, distance can act as a reset, a balm for their overwhelmed nervous system. It is in this space, this pause, that their feelings often intensify, even if they may not fully understand why. Let us explore why absence has such a profound effect on the avoidant heart. At the heart of this phenomenon is the avoidant's core fear, losing autonomy. Closeness and intimacy, while desired on some level, can feel like a threat to their independence. When they are too enmeshed in a relationship, their defenses kick in. They begin to see closeness as synonymous with vulnerability, and vulnerability in their mind equals potential pain. By creating distance, either through physical separation or emotional withdrawal, they reclaim a sense of control. This space allows them to lower their guard and begin to feel safe again, paradoxically reigniting their longing for connection. Distance gives the avoidant the opportunity to miss their partner. While they may not express it openly, the absence of regular interaction creates a void that reminds them of the value their partner brings to their life. When the pressures of intimacy are removed, the avoidant can reflect on the relationship without feeling the need to protect themselves. They are no longer reacting to perceived threats, but instead are left with memories and feelings that often grow warmer in the safe cocoon of solitude. In essence, distance allows them to process their emotions on their own terms. Another key factor is the avoidant's tendency to idealize. During periods of separation, they are free from the complexities and imperfections of day-to-day interactions. This space allows them to remember the good times, the laughter, and the connection without being triggered by the closeness that might have previously felt overwhelming. Their partner, in their mind, transforms into a symbol of comfort, love, and stability, a version of the relationship that feels safer because it exists in their imagination rather than reality. This idealization can be powerful, drawing them back toward the relationship with renewed interest. The irony, of course, is that this renewed interest often emerges after their partner has stepped back, perhaps out of frustration or to set boundaries. This withdrawal from the partner's side creates a kind of mirror effect. The avoidant begins to feel the sting of absence in a way they didn't expect. They start to wonder what their partner is doing, who they're with, and if they're still thinking about them. These thoughts create a longing that compels the avoidant to re-engage, even if it's tentative at first. It's a cycle that reveals how much they truly value the connection, even if they struggle to show it consistently. However, it's important to recognize that while distance can make the avoidant heart grow fonder, it doesn't necessarily resolve the underlying issues driving the need for space in the first place. True intimacy requires the avoidant to work through their fears of vulnerability and to learn how to balance their need for independence with their desire for connection. Similarly, their partner must navigate the space between giving them the room they need and ensuring their own emotional needs are met. Distance, then, is both a challenge and an opportunity. It reveals the emotional depth that the avoidant often tries to hide and serves as a reminder of the connection they fear losing. But more importantly, it's a chance for both partners to reflect, reset, and decide how to move forward, whether that's toward a healthier dynamic or away from a cycle that no longer serves them. In the quiet of absence, clarity emerges, and with it, the potential for transformation. Beloved, let us delve into the profound relationship between emotional safety and space, particularly for those with an avoidant attachment style. For the avoidant, the concept of space is not merely a physical distance. It is a sanctuary where they can regain control over their emotions, their thoughts, and their sense of self. No contact, whether intentional or circumstantial, creates a buffer between their internal world and the external pressures of intimacy. It is within this buffer that the avoidant finds the safety they so deeply crave. To understand this, we must first recognize that control is at the heart of the avoidant attachment style. For the avoidant, emotional closeness can feel unpredictable and overwhelming, triggering deep-seated fears of vulnerability. When someone gets too close, it can feel as though their autonomy is being threatened or that they may lose themselves in the relationship. By creating space through no contact, the avoidant reclaims a sense of control over their environment and emotional landscape. This control is not about manipulation. It is about survival, a way to manage the emotional floodgates they fear opening. In the absence of direct interaction, the avoidant feels less pressured to meet the emotional needs of their partner. Relationships often bring expectations, spoken and unspoken, that can feel heavy to an avoidant. These expectations can range from the need for emotional reassurance to the simple acts of daily connection. While these are natural aspects of any partnership, they can feel like obligations to someone with an avoidant attachment style. No contact removes these perceived demands, allowing the avoidant to breathe and recalibrate without the fear of disappointing their partner. Space also allows the avoidant to process emotions in a way that feels safe for them. While avoidants are often seen as emotionally detached, this is a misconception. They do feel deeply, but their coping mechanism involves distancing themselves from those feelings rather than confronting them head on. In the quiet solitude of no contact, they can reflect on their emotions at their own pace, without the immediate pressure to articulate or share them. This internal processing is vital for the avoidant to reconnect with their feelings and ultimately their partner. Paradoxically, the space created by no contact often fosters a deeper sense of connection for the avoidant. Without the immediate presence of their partner, they are free to remember the positives of the relationship without the stressors that may have caused them to withdraw. In this space, they can acknowledge the value of the connection they've been avoiding. It's not that the absence erases their fears. Rather, it gives them the room to reframe their perspective on the relationship, often leading to a renewed desire to re-engage. However, it is essential to recognize that while no contact can create emotional safety for the avoidant, it is not a long-term solution. True emotional safety in a relationship requires communication, mutual understanding, and the willingness to address underlying fears and needs. For the avoidant, this means learning to tolerate vulnerability and gradually expanding their capacity for intimacy. For their partner, it means respecting the avoidant's need for space without compromising their own emotional well-being. Together, they must navigate the delicate balance between closeness and autonomy. Ultimately, no contact is a tool, one that, when used mindfully, can create the breathing room needed for growth and clarity. For the avoidant, it offers a reprieve, a moment to reset, and a way to feel in control of their emotional world. For their partner, it can be a time to reflect on their own needs and boundaries. And when both individuals are ready to reconnect, they have the opportunity to build a relationship that honors not just the space between them, but the love that bridges it. Beloved, let us explore the intoxicating interplay of mystery, longing, and the human need for certainty. For avoidance, this dynamic is particularly potent, as their attachment style often places them in a delicate dance between the yearning for connection and the fear of vulnerability. When mystery and longing come into play, they stir something deep within, the rekindling of desire through absence and the allure of the unknown. The lesson of the research is clear. Resiliency is important to some people, both to live in great joy and insecurity and fear. To be free and to be controlled, equation for overwhelming grief. Mystery is a powerful force in any relationship, but it holds unique significance for avoidance. These individuals thrive on autonomy and self-sufficiency, often feeling overwhelmed when intimacy becomes too intense. Yet when a partner pulls back or no contact is initiated, it disrupts the predictable dynamic. Suddenly, the certainty they relied on, knowing their partner is readily available, shifts into uncertainty. This ambiguity ignites curiosity. What are they thinking? Are they moving on? Do they still care? These questions compel the avoidant to focus their attention back on their partner, reigniting the spark of desire. Longing, too, plays a central role. When avoidants are given space, They can reflect on their feelings without the immediate pressures of the relationship. In this space, they often come to appreciate what they've lost or fear losing. The absence of their partner creates a void that can no longer be filled by distractions or self-imposed emotional distance. This longing isn't just about the partner's physical presence. It's about the emotional connection they once shared, the laughter, the comfort, and even the conflicts that gave the relationship its depth. Longing has a way of cutting through the avoidance defenses, reminding them of their capacity for love. The element of mystery is particularly effective because it removes the sense of predictability that often makes relationships feel mundane or suffocating to an avoidant. When their partner steps back, avoids over-explaining their actions, or focuses on their own growth, they become more enigmatic. This mystery creates intrigue, sparking the avoidant's natural curiosity and rekindling the desire to know their partner more deeply. The unpredictability of the situation challenges the avoidant to step out of their comfort zone, often leading them to take action to close the gap they once created. It's important to note that this dynamic isn't manipulative when rooted in authenticity. The mystery should arise naturally from the partner's genuine focus on their own healing, self-improvement, or fulfillment, rather than from a calculated effort to provoke a reaction. When the avoidant senses that their partner is thriving without them, it can inspire admiration and a renewed interest. This shift in power dynamics subtly reminds the avoidant that their partner is not an extension of them, but a whole person with their own life and passions, a realization that often rekindles attraction and respect. However, this rekindling of desire through mystery and longing also reveals the avoidant's inner conflict, their desire for certainty. Avoidants often seek control in relationships as a way to manage their fears of vulnerability. Yet, in the absence of certainty, when their partner steps back and creates space, the avoidant is forced to confront their feelings without the safety net of predictability. This tension between wanting to know and being intrigued by the unknown drives their re-engagement with the relationship as they attempt to reconcile these opposing needs. Ultimately, the role of mystery and longing in rekindling desire is not about playing games, but about creating balance. For avoidants, the space created by no contact allows them to rediscover their feelings without pressure, while the mystery of their partner's evolving life draws them back into the fold. For their partner, it's a reminder that focusing on one's own growth and self-worth is not only empowering, but also transformative for the relationship. Together, these forces of mystery and longing can breathe new life into connections that once felt strained, offering the potential for deeper, more meaningful intimacy. Beloved, when separation enters the dynamics of a relationship, it creates a unique psychological landscape, especially for those with an avoidant attachment style. In this space of absence, avoidants often engage in a process of projection and idealization, where the realities of the relationship blur, and their partner becomes a symbol of something far greater than the sum of their interactions. And let us dive deeply into how and why this romanticizing occurs and the complexities it reveals about the avoidant heart. Avoidants by nature are skilled at compartmentalizing their emotions. During separation, this ability to compartmentalize allows them to focus solely on the positive aspects of the relationship, filtering out the conflicts, vulnerabilities, or imperfections that may have driven their withdrawal. In this process of idealization, their partner becomes an almost mythical figure, flawless, desirable, and unattainable. This romanticized version of their partner is not entirely grounded in reality, but serves as a safe space for the avoidant to explore their emotions without confronting the messiness of true intimacy. Projection also plays a significant role. In the absence of direct communication, avoidants often project their own unacknowledged desires, fears, and unmet emotional needs onto their partner. If they long for connection but fear rejection, they may project onto their partner the qualities of unconditional love and acceptance. This projection isn't about who their partner truly is, it's about who the avoidant needs them to be in order to feel safe from vulnerability. The separation becomes a mirror, reflecting not just the partner, but the avoidant's internal emotional landscape. This idealization is often fueled by nostalgia. During separation, avoidants tend to dwell on memories of the relationship's high points, the laughter, the shared moments of joy, and the connection that felt so profound. They may replay these moments in their mind, amplifying their significance while downplaying or erasing the conflicts or challenges that accompanied them. This selective memory creates a powerful sense of longing, not necessarily for the actual relationship, but for the idealized version of it that exists only in their imagination. The romanticizing process is paradoxically both a comfort and a trap. On one hand, it allows the avoidant to reconnect with their feelings of love and affection without the immediate pressures of vulnerability. On the other hand, it sets up unrealistic expectations for the relationship. When they eventually re-engage with their partner, the reality of imperfection and emotional complexity can clash with the idealized image they've created during the separation. This dissonance can lead to disappointment, reinforcing the avoidant's tendency to withdraw once again. It is also important to note that this idealization is not inherently manipulative or malicious. Rather, it is a defense mechanism rooted in the avoidant's fear of intimacy. By keeping their partner at a distance, even if only in their mind, they maintain a sense of emotional control. The romanticized version of their partner is safe because it exists in a space where vulnerability is unnecessary. This dynamic helps the avoidant cope with the discomfort of separation while simultaneously deepening their longing for reconnection. It's to move beyond projection and idealization. Both partners must work toward greater self-awareness and authenticity. For the avoidant, this means recognizing when they are romanticizing or projecting and challenging themselves to engage with their partner as a real, imperfect human being. For their partner, it involves setting boundaries and encouraging open, honest communication about feelings and expectations. When both individuals commit to understanding and addressing these patterns, the relationship can evolve into a space of genuine intimacy, where connection is built not on projections or ideals, but on the truth of who they are together. Beloved, let us explore the transformative potential of the space between connection and disconnection. For avoidants and their partners, this in-between space often feels fraught with tension, uncertainty, and longing. Yet it is precisely within this space that profound growth and healing can occur. When approached with awareness and intention, the ebb and flow of connection can become an opportunity to break harmful patterns and build a relationship rooted in authenticity and understanding. At the heart of the avoidant attachment dynamic lies a paradox. The desire for connection coexists with the fear of vulnerability. This paradox creates cycles of closeness followed by withdrawal, leaving both partners feeling unsettled and misunderstood. However, the periods of disconnection, when approached with care, can serve as a mirror, reflecting the unresolved fears and unmet needs driving these patterns. For the avoidant, this space offers a reprieve from emotional intensity, allowing them to process their feelings and reorient themselves. For their partner, it can be a time to reflect on their own needs and boundaries. Growth begins when both individuals use this space not as a barrier, but as a bridge to deeper understanding. For avoidants, the space between connection and disconnection allows them to confront their discomfort with intimacy in a controlled and manageable way. It offers them the chance to reflect on what they truly value in their relationship and to recognize that their fears of engulfment or rejection often stem from past wounds rather than present realities. This awareness can become the first step in breaking the cycle of avoidance. For their partner, this space offers an opportunity to step back from the chase. In relationships with avoidance, the partner often feels compelled to close the gap, to reassure, or to fix the disconnection. However, this approach can unintentionally reinforce the avoidance need for space. By respecting the separation and focusing on their own growth, the partner not only honors their own emotional needs, but also disrupts the dynamic that perpetuates the cycle. This shift creates a more balanced relationship, where both individuals have the freedom to process their emotions without pressure. Breaking patterns also requires the courage to communicate openly about the cycles of connection and disconnection. Often these patterns persist because they remain unspoken. Both individuals react to their own fears and assumptions without fully understanding the other's perspective. Honest conversations about what triggers withdrawal or pursuit can help both partners move from a reactive to a responsive approach. This mutual understanding fosters empathy and creates a safe space for both partners to express their needs and fears without judgment. Ultimately, the space between connection and disconnection is not a void, but a crucible for transformation. When approached with self-awareness, patience, and compassion, it can become a space where old wounds are healed, fears are confronted, and a deeper, more authentic connection emerges. Breaking patterns is not about eliminating the need for space or forcing constant closeness. It is about learning to navigate the natural rhythms of a relationship with grace. In this dance of connection and disconnection, both partners can grow, not apart, but together. Beloved, the delicate balance between authenticity and avoidance lies at the core of many relationships, especially those influenced by avoidant attachment patterns. Authenticity requires the courage to show up as one's true self, embracing vulnerability and transparency. Avoidance, on the other hand, is a protective mechanism, a shield designed to maintain emotional safety and autonomy. Navigating the interplay between these two forces is not only challenging, but also essential for building deeper, more fulfilling connections. At its heart, avoidance stems from a fear of vulnerability. For avoidance, emotional closeness can feel overwhelming, triggering fears of dependency, rejection, or loss of control. To manage this discomfort, they instinctively withdraw, creating distance as a way to preserve their sense of safety. While this strategy may protect them in the short term, it often comes at the cost of authentic connection. Relationships thrive on openness and honesty, and avoidance can create a barrier to the intimacy that both partners ultimately desire. Authenticity, by contrast, is about embracing vulnerability and showing up fully in the relationship. It involves being honest about one's emotions, needs, and fears, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. For avoidance, authenticity can feel threatening because it requires letting down their guard and trusting that their partner will accept them without judgment. Yet it is in these moments of vulnerability that true emotional safety can be cultivated. When both partners feel seen and accepted for who they are, the relationship becomes a sanctuary rather than a battleground. Balancing authenticity and avoidance requires self-awareness and intentionality. For the avoidant, this means recognizing when their instinct to withdraw is driven by fear rather than genuine need. Are they pulling back because they need time to recharge, or are they avoiding a difficult conversation? By examining their motivations, avoidance can begin to discern when it is safe to lean into vulnerability rather than retreat. For their partner, it means respecting the avoidance need for space while encouraging open communication about their emotions and boundaries. Creating this balance also involves redefining emotional safety. For avoidance, safety is often associated with distance and self-reliance. However, true emotional safety is found in relationships where vulnerability is met with empathy and care. This shift requires both partners to work together to create an environment of trust, where honesty is valued and fears are met with compassion rather than criticism. Over time, this foundation of safety can help the avoidant build confidence in their ability to be authentic without losing themselves in the relationship. Ultimately, the tension between authenticity and avoidance is not a problem to be solved, but a dynamic to be navigated. It reflects the human desire for both connection and independence, a paradox that exists in all relationships to some degree. For avoidance, learning to embrace authenticity is a journey of growth, requiring patience, courage, and self-compassion. For their partners, it is an opportunity to practice understanding and resilience. For their partners, it is an opportunity to practice understanding and resilience. Together, they can find a balance that honors their individual needs while deepening their shared bond, proving that vulnerability and emotional safety are not opposing forces, but complementary pillars of a healthy relationship. Beloved, love and fear often exist as two opposing forces, shaping the way we navigate our relationships. For those caught in attachment cycles, particularly avoidance, the pull of fear can feel overpowering. Fear whispers that vulnerability will lead to pain, that intimacy will strip away autonomy, or that love, once given, may not be reciprocated. Yet choosing love over fear is not only possible, it is the key to breaking these cycles and creating deeper, lasting connections. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace both the joys and uncertainties of true intimacy. And so